Good afternoon. We're going to do the watch list for the week of July 27th. This is the last full week of July, I believe. Yeah, it is. And we have FOMC on Wednesday, so the week could be, well, Monday could be strong, but Tuesday and Wednesday could be choppy until the FOMC statement comes out. So now the list isn't too much. So I'll start with Facebook. Well, we have a lot of stimulus news coming out this week, so I would assume the market's probably going to get pumped the majority of the week, at least until the Fed. Probably pumped tomorrow, probably somewhat Tuesday and choppy Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday until we get the Fed statement. So with all the stimulus news, I just think that's what I think is going to happen. So most of my watch list is bullish because of that, and so Facebook is one. If Facebook can get over the 232 area, I would watch it for a push to the probably the 242 area. It has earnings this week, so just be cautious that the premiums are going to be high on that. So yeah, anything over 230, 232, 233 for a push into the 242 area. So that's what I'd be looking for on Facebook, and even if gets over that, it could get to the 245. So I would watch Facebook. EA Sports is another one. It did close above the RCT trend line on the daily, which is a good sign usually. It gets over the 136. I'd watch for a push into the 140 area. Probably have some resistance in the 138, then 140. If it does manage to break 140, 141 to 142 area, I would be careful of. It could, and if it gets into this 140 area, it could be setting up for head and shoulders, because you have a left shoulder and a possible head right there. I mean, a head right there, then a potential right shoulder if it does bounce up to 140. So be cautious of that too. So GS, Goldman Sachs, whoops, wrong one. Now I know that it's got like kind of like an inverted head and shoulders right here. You get like the left, the head, and the possible right. So I do like that. If it gets over 204 area, I would watch for a push to probably even fill the gap into above 210 to 212, and if it gets that, probably 213. So I would keep an eye on that inverted head and shoulders on Goldman Sachs daily. Lilly is the next one. Now it did drop off a little bit this past week, but it's got like a bunch of inside candles on the hourly and 30 minute, and if it does manage to get over that 160, it's probably going to end up pushing to 162, even 164. So I would watch Lilly. Next one is Costco. Costco, I mean, it's up here just consolidating, and I mean, it could possibly drop, but every time it gets below this like 325 area, it ends up popping up to about 330. So I'm assuming that could possibly happen again. So if it does get over the 326, 327 area, I'd watch for a push into the 330, and if it gets managed to break over the 331.49 for a push to the 335. So I'd watch Costco on that. Tesla is the next one. Now I know that Tesla had a big drop, but it did manage to close over the middle Celt on the daily, and because I had that big drop, I'm sure the short position's probably really big, and Tesla is known for just squeezing the crap out of shorts. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there's a bunch of shorts that stop piling in on tomorrow, thinking it's going to go down lower, which it could. But I would be a bit surprised if it squeezes, and if it does, I would look for it to at least fill the gap to 1510. And if it does get over that, it may push back over to 1600. So I would definitely keep an eye on that. I mean, like I said, every time that Tesla seems to get a heavy short position, a lot of shorts, they just squeeze them out. So, and I would assume that based on the last couple of days, Thursday and Friday, is a lot of shorts, and they're probably going to want to to come back down to, I don't know, 1200 or something like that, and it's going to squeeze it. So that's what I'm thinking on that. BABA is the next one. Now, I'm usually short biased on it, and it could go down. I mean, if it does go down, I would like it underneath 244.50, but if it does get over the 250 range, I would look for a push into 260. If the market is strong with the stimulus news, BABA's going to end up going with it. Win, it's the same thing. I know I've been short bias on Win, and we haven't had no Vegas closures or anything regarding Vegas, so until it happens, you probably could see a bounce here. I would over 74. If it gets over 74, I would look for a push to 70, 77, 78, and even get to 80. So I wouldn't be surprised if Win goes to 80 if the market's strong and there's nothing to do with Vegas. SPY, I am bringing up SPY because obviously I'll be watching SPY, especially expiration day tomorrow. So if it does manage to, right now ES futures is down 4 points, so doesn't really mean anything. But if it does get over 322, which has been a big area, I'd watch for a push to 327 again, and if it does manage to break 327, it's probably going to push to 330. But it's been really getting chopped in this range. It keeps going in these ranges, as you can see on the 30 minutes to far left, that, you know, the 316, 320, 320, 250, and the 327 area are the big levels in this area, and it's been like bouncing in between these and going to the next one, then go to the next one. So if the market does get any strength because of the stimulus package or more news about it, or pumping for vaccine, that I would watch to get a push 322 to 327. So that's what I've been looking at on the bullish side. On the short side, I mean, obviously BA's got earnings the 29th before market, so I would assume that the earnings are going to be bad. But every time you think earnings are going to be bad, they kind of have this, I don't know, something comes out where the losses aren't as bad as they thought, or things aren't as bad as they thought, and it just manages to get to pop. So, but the daily's still got a descending triangle on the daily. So if it does break this 172 or even 173 level and gets down to 170 and breaks that, I mean, it's got quite a bit of area to drop. You could see it drop to 150. If the news is really, really bad, they really get clobbered on earnings, you can see it down to 120, even down to 100. So there is a area down here below 100. So depends on the earnings. So I'd keep an eye on that. Roku is another one. It always seems to do that. Roku is consolidating up here. I mean, it could pop, but it's just been struggling in this 160 area, 155. So I would like to see it. If it does get any weakness under 150, it's been the key area to get under. If it gets under 150 to 145, even to fill the gap down here to 135, if it can manage to do that. But if the market's strong, it can pop. It can also go up and pop over 155 and get into the 160s and even 166. So Roku, we just have to keep an eye on. It could go either way, but I'm kind of more on the bearish side of it because of it's been really struggling in this range. And so next one is Whirlpool, WHR. Got a little descending triangle right here after earnings, and sometimes they like to fall apart and come test the gap up support at 154. So if it does end up breaking the 157, I'd watch the 154, and if it does manage to get below the 154, I'm probably going to do a gap fill of 148. So I'd watch WHR, and the last one is UPS. You know, and UPS, it struggles and it pops, and it could pop again, but I don't know. If the market's strong, it's obviously going to go over 120. But if the market's not strong, I look for a gap fill below the 117 down to the 114, even fill that gap down to the 112, 111 area. So, I mean, I know it's been consolidating and popping every time, but I just think that it just should pull back and retest to fill the gap on the 110 area. So we'll see how that does. on that one. So that's going to do it for the watch list. There's really not much. I think FOMC is going to put a damper on a lot of big plays. I think tomorrow might be the big play, and then Thursday and Friday could be the big plays. So I don't think Tuesday and Wednesday is going to be much action, except for maybe Wednesday afternoon if there's any surprises or any news drops. So expect a choppy midweek, and just be cautious, and that's going to do it. Thanks.